Good afternoon to all of you. You all can hear me, everyone? Hello? Hello everyone, good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Chandan. How are you all? It's good sign
Fine,
that
sir.
yeah, it's good sign that everyone are coming to the classes, right? The attendance is pretty good. Yeah, okay. So we have missed out some contents in the last class. We'll resume from there on without wasting our time. Yeah, please to understand this. This is an important problem and very easy also. If we have the PDF file, you can take that. Let us see 1 second. If you have that, we'll take that and we'll try to understand. Yeah. Then how the things going on? Everyone is fine. So this is what I have told you to navigate. So you can look at this. So go to the file section. So here you have the folder, exclusive folder to you, right? 18EC44. So inside this folder, you can see the module wise material updated. Okay. So you can see class notes. And from this, you can see module 2, right? Module 2. In module 2, we have the complete notes of the module. Okay, this is the PDF file what we have. So please try every day to understand one concept. So here we are. So we are discussing on conditional joint probabilities at this point now, and we'll discuss some numericals on this again further. Okay. Yeah, we'll move forward. So it's taking some time to load. Yeah, meanwhile, any questions, any queries, you please ask. So we'll begin that with the problem, which is on page number 16. We'll look at that. Okay, we'll try to understand easily. Instead of writing it, we can have a discussion over that, and we can go to conditional joint probability. Okay, conditional joint probability is not discussed yet, right? Yeah, okay. So we know that something here. So W is summation of I equals to 1 to n and xi. So this is what we know, correct? And we should know what is the value of n, and we should know what is the value of I. So I is not required, and n, if you know what is the value of that, we can able to find it out, correct? So page number 16 we are going. Yeah, meanwhile you can talk to me anything you want to talk. We are in page number 10 in this, which means 20. So 16 means it will go to 32 around. Okay, so double to that ideally. Okay. Mostly we'll end up here. So double to that back and front. So 32nd page we have to. Okay, we have a problem here. If you can see that it's not visible here. Just wait 1 second. It will be visible. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah. So this is the problem what we are looking at. So this is what I have told you to please go through it. These are the problems what we have. So finally to summarize on IID. So the formula for W is what? So W is to find out some of the numbers. It is summation I to n xi. And if you want to find the mu of that, so mu is what? So mu is given by n times of mu. So mu of W is n times of mu x is what is given, right? So W is n times of mu x. And this is sigma W square is also n times of sigma W square. Actually sigma W square, instead of that we can write sigma x square actually. The mistake, you correct it please. So sigma, so W square will be equals to n times of sigma x square. Okay, you can please correct that here. So this one probably instead of W you can make it as x. Okay, fine. So now just a second. Okay, now let us look at this one here. So you can see the problem, right? Is that visible? It's too long. Can you able to see the problem?
Yes, sir.
Is it visible? Yeah. So from this problem you can understand here there is a random variable x. Okay. The mean of that is 2. Okay. The mean of that is 2 and variance is 0.5. So how to write the given data for this problem? Just 1 second. How to write the given data for this problem? So for this problem, the mean value, they are telling that mean value. So mean value is given by mu. Okay, it is given as 2. And they are given variance. Variance is given by sigma x square. Let us say sigma, this is sigma w square, whatever it is, 0.5. Correct? So mean is what? 2 and variance is 0.5. The PDF of x is not otherwise specified, which means the PDF we do not know. So PDF is not given. We don't know that value of a PDF. Okay, and we are understood that let n equals to 120. N value is given as 120. Independent occurrence, which means IID it is. So independent occurrence, what is the meaning of that? It's an IID function. Now what is that you need to find? So you need to find the mean and variance of sum of 120 IIDs. Mean and variance of sum of 120 IIDs. So here we know the value of n. N is given by 120. Now what all things we need to find? We need to find the mu w. We need to find, this is the mu x value they are given. Mu w is what we have to find for 120 numbers. Okay, and you need to find the sigma x square. You need to find, right, for 120 numbers. So these 120 numbers, if you add them, sum you have to find. That is one. And second thing you have to find is mu w only you have to find, and sigma x square you have to find. This is for average. So two things are there here, one for sum and next for average. So these two things we have to find. So looking at that here, you see this. So sum of 120 IIDs, sum we should do it, and we should do the average also. Averaging we should do it. Okay, let us start the solution for this. So what is the given data? Mu x is 2, sigma x square is 0.5. That's what we wrote. Mu x is 2. So this mu x value is 2 and sigma x square is 0.5. This is what we wrote given data. Further, W is what? Sum of 120 independent and identical occurrences. So independent identical occurrences means what? It's an IID. It's an IID, independent identical distribution, IID. So we are doing a problem on IID. Okay. So that we know the problem here, the value of W we can find by using summation I equals to 1 to 120 xi. And the value of n is what? 120. Value of n is what? 120. Now you check here, if you want to find the mean of that, if you want to find the mean of that, mu W equals to n times of mu x. N times of mu x means what? We know the mean of that. We know the mean of that as 2. So this one is 2. And if you know the mean, if you know the mean of that, so mu x you know it is 2. You want to find what? Mu W you have to find. So mu W equals to n times of mu x. What is the value of n? 120. What is the value of mu x? It is 2. So 120 into 2, we get 240. So that's what we wrote here. That's what we get here. Mu equals to n times of mu x. Okay. Next is what? Variance. What is this variance? Variance is what? Sigma W square. It is also n times of sigma x square. So this is mean we got. And next is what? Variance. So variance is what? Variance is given by, if you want to find the variance of that, so it is sigma W square you want to find. How to find out that? That is also given by n times of sigma x square. Sigma x square is what? N value we know 120. Sigma x square is 0.5. So 0.5 into 120, how much? How much we got there? 60, correct? So it's 60. Is it clear? So that's what the first part. First part is clear for us. Now what is next part? Next part is averaging we need to find. If you want to find the averaging, same formula, but we need to use 1 by n. 1 by n we need to use. So 1 by n, how to find y equals to 1 by n of that corresponding thing. Okay. So in that way, we know that mu x equals to mu y equals to 2. We know that. And variance is what? Divided by n. Because when you do the mean of it, mean we are going to get the same. That's what we have seen, right? For averaging of the terms, we get here this mu y equals to mu x. Same we are going to get. But whereas sigma y, we are getting sigma x square by n. So from that, so mean of mu IID for 120 averaging, it is mu y. Mu y is same as mu x. Mu y is same as mu x. But whereas sigma x square is, sigma y square is sigma x square by n. So if you do as per that, for the next one averaging, if you are trying to find, okay, we are trying to find the averaging. So this is for averaging. Second question, you need to find mu y, you need to find. So mu y is same as mu x, which is 2. So we got to know. Now what about sigma y square? Sigma y square is actually sigma x square divided by n. N or what? N or n only, right? So sigma x square by n. Sigma x square is 0.5, n is 120. So which will be 0.5 divided by 120. So which will be very, very nominal amount of number. So 1 by 240, which will be approximately 0.0041. So this will be 0.0041. 0041. What is this variance actually? What is this variance, you know? So if you see this one, we take a value, let us say here, if you take this value, you take a graph. Okay. If you draw this graph, you are going to get approximately like a bell-shaped graph. You're going to get like Gaussian distribution. So this is the value of that mu. Okay. If you take some other value here, this is your sigma, 1 sigma. If you take second value, this will be 2 sigma. Okay. So from here to here, the value of that or the difference of that is very less. Difference of that is 0.0041 times. If this value is very less or the average value is very less, we can say that it's more accurate value. Okay. So we are going to get the closest answer. Okay. So that's what we are going to get from that. So that's what we are trying to find here. Is it clear? So both w and y in this example will be approximately Gaussian random variable. So based on the central limit theorem, we are doing it. So the value of n is large. So we are applying that and we are trying to do that. So next, conditional joint probability. For this class, we're going to discuss what? Conditional joint probability. Now what we are trying to do here is, it's very, very simple. Like you have seen already Bayes theorem, right? I have shared a video to you, Bayes theorem. We have seen an example of Bayes theorem where how to find out number of farmers and number of librarians. That example video you have seen. Okay, it's very simple. So before, if you see here, before we are trying to find out only x and y. So before, what we are trying to do here is, before we are trying to find only two factors. What we are trying to find, we are trying to find this f of xy. So two things only we are trying to find. Okay, which one we are trying to find? F of x and y we are trying to find. Now what we are trying to do, along with that, we are trying to find something called as b also. This b, corresponding b, it's an new event. New event. So let us say, what is this new event? Let us say how to, why to consider this and how to consider this is, you feel like you have to vaccinate for everyone. Correct? Initially you thought vaccine all. Then you find it out that you have got 140 crore people to vaccinate. Then it is not possible. Then you kept a condition. What condition you kept? You kept a condition X stating that 60 and above. This one condition you kept. Along with this condition, now next what you did, you allowed factor Y. Y what you did, 45 and above also you should do. Along with that, this also you consider, this also you consider, something like that you told. So this function has become now fxy. It became like this function. Now what you did is, this is going on. Now you introduce something called b, new event you introduce. So this is, let us say 18 plus also you have to allow. Now what to do? What is the combination? You need to allow 18 plus people, 45 plus people, 60 plus people. But if they have got already vaccinated, then don't vaccinate them. Who have not got it, not vaccinated, you need to vaccinate. Correct? Now you need to find out how many people are there like this, so that you can prepare the number of doses. Okay. So how many people are there? In that, how many people are Indian? How many people are NRI? Right? How many are vaccinated? What is that statistics you want to find? So this probability is like that. Conditional joint probability is one of the things which we can able to easily sort it out. Okay. Now x value of the probability, we need to take the x value which is less than equals to x. Let us say we have around 140 crore population we have, let us talk about. Now I don't know the correct statistics, but you know better than me. I am just telling that approximately here some 30 crore population is there, and somewhere here around some 30 crore population is there, and somewhere here some 40 crore population is there, and your remaining will be 18 years and below, let us say. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and let us say remaining 18 years below will be some around 50 crore. Approximately 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 50. Let us say. Okay. Okay, this can be, let us say, 40 crore. Right. Now, you see here, now I want to find out this values of this less than that. X less than X, which means already you have did it, you don't need to consider. Now Y less than Y. Along with that, take the new event B also, which means the intersection of this value, the intersection of Y value, and the intersection of B value, all three together. And you are trying to divide it by the probability of B again, along with new event, so that you get the joint probability of the event B. You are going to find only the event B, joint probability. So this is the formula. We end up with joint probability of x and y. Along with x and y, we have to introduce for B also. Okay. So when you use capital F, it is what? CDF, cumulation. Capital F is what? It is cumulative, CDF. If you use small f here, it is PDF of function of it, not CDF, PDF function. So this function will be the dou square by dou x, double derivative of that with x and y along with the event b. Okay, so this is how we can able to find the CDF and PDF for the joint conditional probability. Now let us try and understand with an example here. If you see an example here, okay, we have an event B. This is the event B what we have, right? So this is a set of bivariate observations we have in the plane x and y, x plane and y plane. This is the point B what we are trying to find out. Okay, and around that we have an event B. So we need to find out along with x quadrant and y quadrant, and along with the portion of the B we have to find. The B is a particular event. Before if you are trying to find, let us say, I'll draw and show you here. So before if you are trying to find, 1 second. So before if you are trying to find, what you are trying to do, you are trying to do like this. So this is x and y, this is x value, and this is y value. Now this corresponding y value, and this is corresponding x value. Now this is the area what you are trying to find. So this can be something like fxy. So this is what you are trying to find. Now what you are doing, we don't want like this. We want particularly some event B. There is some point here. This is the corresponding point, and this is the corresponding point. Now you may expand some values beyond left side. You may expand some values beyond left, right. So all the directions you want some other values depending on the probability. Let us say some random graph we are going to get. Let us say something like this. So this is the area what now we are trying to find. This is the joint probability B. This is this one we are trying to find. Now we are considering the joint probability, which means we are including the x values, and we are including the y values, and we are including the new parameter B values also. Okay, so this is what we are trying to find. So this becomes the illustration of an event B on xy plane. Now if you want to find the probability of the event, you need to find probability of that. If you want to find, you need to double integrate that. If you want to find the probability of that, so probability of B occurrence, if you want to find, you need to double integrate that value. Along with that, what? Along with the limits of B, and corresponding, what is this? It's a PDF. Okay, so corresponding limits B along with the PDF. PDF means what? Fx of y of x comma y into dx into dy. If you can do that, you are able to find the probability of this function. Okay, now so we'll go further. So finally what we can understand, if you want to find out the conditional probability, if the values of x and y belong to B, the values of x and y belong to B, then it is fxy by P of B. So we find out how to find this value f of xy. We know how to find it, and this is just now we have seen how to find this. So what they mean to say is, if the values of this x and the values of this y are belonging to this region, then you can able to find that we are able to find out by fxy of x comma y divided by the probability of this function when this x and y values are belonging to this event B. If they belong only, we can able to find this. If they don't belong to that event, that will become 0 otherwise. Okay, if they belong to that corresponding event only, we do it. If that is not belonging to that corresponding event, we are not considering it, simply we are making it as 0. Okay, so that's your conditional joint probability. So we can able to obtain that by using, along with y, we can able to obtain, if you want to find only for y function, if you want to find, so just derive that only by dx and do the probability of B. Okay, so which means I just want to find out from this only with respect to y, which means I want to find only with the y. 1 second, yeah, I want to find only with y. So the only this y part I want to find. Then if you have to replace this x and y value, and only we maintain with x. Similarly, if you don't want the values of that with y, you can also replace that value. So you see this here, you can able to understand easily. So if you want to find out the conditional joint probability of the PDF with y only, if you want to find, then you correspondingly divide that by x. If you want to find that with x, you correspondingly divide it by y. Okay, so based on these two expressions, what we have x and y expressions here, 1 and 2 expressions what we had here. Okay, so either this value of x equals to x or the value of y equals to y. The first equation says that, okay, the condition is either x equals to x or let us say y equals to y. So based on that conditions, what we can say, we can say that fy of y comma x into fx of x equals to fx of x comma y into fy of y. What is the meaning of that? When we compare both of them, so this is like it's equal. We take individually y and individually x here. So based on that joint probability, we can able to find out this. This is corresponding thing is called as what? This corresponding thing is called as your Bayes theorem. This corresponding thing is called as your Bayes theorem. That's what we have seen till now. Okay. Now, if x and y are independent, if x and y are independent values, if they are independent values, then what will happen? If x and y are independent here, you see this one here. If you want to find only corresponding to y, we are going to get as fy of y. We are going to find for x value, then we are going to get only fx of x. Which means when they are independent, what they mean to say here is, if you see this graph here, now there are no values matching. Let us say this is the graph. Why it is called independent? If the covariance of this x and y will be equals to 0, then we can call it as independent, right? Now what we are trying to mention here, we are trying to mention the x value here. X value, we are trying to take, this is the x value. This is the region what we are looking at. Now this y value is located somewhere here, somewhere in this side. So this side it is located. Now if you want to find out the joint probability of this x and y, can we do it? This is going this side and this is going this side. They are independent to each other. They are not dependent to one of them. Now if you want to find the joint probability of y, we don't need to consider x. Directly we can find out with x, y. Similarly, if you want to find the joint probability of this x, if you want to find the joint probability of x, so y is not required for us, only x we can find it out. So that's what they mean to say here. If this x and y are independent in nature, then the corresponding fy of y equals to fy of y, we are going to get fx of x by y, we are going to get as fx of x. By y means what? Along with the x quadrant we are trying to find, along with y quadrant we are trying to find. Okay, is that clear? So this one, you just please watch the video what I have shared to you. Okay, you'll understand the Bayes theorem clearly. Once you understood the Bayes theorem, fundamental concept of it, then you can able to understand the conditional joint probability very easily. Okay, so any doubts so far? Anything you want me to make it clear? Is it clear to you? So please read that once. The notes is shared to you in the MS Teams. Okay, you can please read that and you can able to understand. Is that clear? So any doubts do you have? Hello. So further we'll see this next one. It's called as the applications part we are trying to see. We are trying to see the chi-square test. Okay. So chi-square random variable is one of the important application or one of the important perspective what we have to find out the solutions for the random variables. Okay, how to find out this v? So this we have given something called as v. This v is what? V is the chi-square random variable v. How v is defined? So same as previous one, right? Previously what we wrote, let us see. Previously what we wrote. So we wrote w, how we wrote w? previously we wrote as W. So W equals to summation I equals to 1 to n xi we wrote. Now we are writing V. What is this V? V equals to I to R, instead of that we wrote Zi square we wrote. Okay. Summation R equals to 1, I equals to 1 to R Zi square we wrote. It is I equals to 1 to R Zi square we wrote. Now we need to understand two things here. First thing is, see this V is a variable there for finding the sum. Okay, W, and this V here we are using for chi-square test. So square we are trying to do. Why we are trying to do the square? Okay, what if you do the square of that, what we are going to get? How is that is functionality of this is what interesting part. We'll see that much more clearly in the next class. As of now you can see this one here. So this is V equals to same as that, but everything is same. Only thing is what we have taken the square of that. So we should understand why that square of that is taken. And we know this value of R is an integer value. It will be minimum 1 or greater than 1, because we cannot write like this, right? We cannot, we can write the value of this is 1 equals to up to 1 and only Zi square, which means only one value will have. Okay, it can be greater than or equals to 1. Which one? The value of R should be greater than or equals to 1. So definitely it's greater than or equals to 1, and it's also an integer value. Now you take here, this Z here is an normalized Gaussian random variable. It's a normalized Gaussian random variable. So based on the Gaussian probabilities, we are going to write this equation based on the Gaussian random probabilities, like Gaussian how we get, right? So based on that we are writing. So once you understand the Gaussian, normalized Gaussian, based on that the expressions we got here for the values of V greater than 0, if the values of V are less than 0, we are going to take it as 0, which means always this functionality of this will be, the values of this will be only for greater values, which means if you take a graph like this, just 1 second here. Yeah, if you take the graph like this is the graph. Okay, this is the x value, let us say. So it's 0. So values of that greater than 0 we are going to get. For other values you are not going to get a graph. Okay, so other place it is going to be equals to 0. So here what you can see, this one here. So yeah, 1 second. So we have something here like this. There are two lines drawn. You can this line is not required. This line you can strike it off. Only you can use this line. Okay, R equals to 3, 5 and 10. Let us say something like this. R equals to 3, 5 and 10. Let us say we use something, this one of the function. Okay, and this is the other function we have other function. Let us say this is other function. Okay, and we have some other function here. So let us say this is going to be equals to R equals to 2, and this can be R equals to 5, let us say, and this is going to be R equals to 10. So like this graph we are going to get for the values which are greater than 0, and we are not going to get any other values for less than 0. Less than 0 we are going to get 0. So greater values only we are going to get it. Okay, we'll see that much more clearly in the next class what is happening. As of now I am just telling you the abstract view of it, what is this. Okay, and the mean value and the variance value and the characteristic function of that is given here like this. So V, if you take, is a variable. For that variable we have to find the mean of that. So the mean of that is given by gamma. So the mean value of that, mean value is given by mu V, that is given by something called as gamma here. And then the variance of that is 2 times of the gamma. The variance of this is sigma V square, which will be 2 times of gamma. And further the optimistic function here is given by 1 minus 2j minus r by 2. So they are the standard functional values what they are given. We'll see that much more clearly and detailedly in the next class. As of now I am just giving you the brief overview of the applications. If you see this chi-square test, this chi-square test random variable will find applications in statistics. Where in statistics we have something in independent realization of Gaussian random variable and squared and summed random variables. So wherever the random variables we are trying to square or where we are trying to sum up, okay, either squaring or either summing anywhere in the random variables, we use this chi-square test. So this chi-square test we'll see much more clearly in the next class. So after that, second application is what? Students T random variable. Okay, this from here we'll continue in the next class. Students T random variable, chi-square test, and what else we have. If you see the syllabus, we'll understand. Just a second, it get loaded. Yeah, so from next class onwards, what we'll do is we'll see the application perspective of this, what we have learned. Okay, what are the application perspective applications of this corresponding things we can see, followed by chi-square test. Okay, so this is a chi-square test, we'll do it, and after doing chi-square test, we'll do the next example is what? Student TRV, Cauchy and Rayleigh random variables. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 applications we have. We'll see each one of them in detail. Then with that, we are able to complete your second module. So other 1 or 2 classes, we most probably can complete this. Chi-square test, students RV, Cauchy and Rayleigh. Let us say the next class we'll see from chi-square test and students RV. Another class we can take up other 2. Okay. Any doubts here? And one more problem is there. If we can able to look at that, it will be good. Somewhere in page number 10, let us say somewhere here, take up it's 20th page approximately. Yeah, this problem, you please go through this problem. From here you have a problems. You can go through that. So this is an example problem on 2 random variables or 2 variable transformation. So this problem is given in the model question papers many times. So one of the problem is here. So we have x as a random variable. The mean of that is mu x and the variance is 5. And y is other random variable. Mean of that is 6. Variance of that is 7. This is the input what they are given. And the correlation coefficient is given by 0.7. Correlation coefficient is what? Rho xy. So this is what the given data. Mu x, sigma x, mu y, sigma y, and the correlation coefficient. So this much is given. Now what they're asking, if this u equals to 3x plus 2y, what is the variance of u and what is the covariance of ux is what they're asking. So how to find out that? U equals to 3x plus 2y. So that's what they mentioned. First question is, what is variance of u? Variance of u is what? U equals to ax plus by is what function is. Ax plus by is what? A value is 3 and b value is 2. A value is 3 and b value is 2. Okay. So if you expand that, it's like a square sigma x square plus b square sigma y square plus 2ab. Correct? So based on that, we know the value of a is 3 and the value of b is 2 because a value is 3, b value is 2. So 3 plus 2, 3 and 2. So 3 square, sigma x square is how much? Sigma x square is how much? Sigma x is 4, sigma x square will be 16. So 4 and 16. Like that, if you substitute the values, so sigma x is 5, sigma y is 7, sigma x square is 25, then sigma y square is 49. And then if you substitute those values, if you want to find the covariance of x and y here, covariance of x and y is what? Rho xy multiplied by sigma x and sigma y. Rho xy is given as 0.7, sigma x is 5, sigma y is 7. If you multiply that, you're going to get minus 24.5. You know the covariance, you know the value of a and b. You substitute the values there. A value is 3, whole square is 9, and sigma x square is 25. B value is 2, whole square is 4, sigma y square is 49, and plus 2ab. 2, it is A, it is B into covariance of x and y. So this complete total value will become 294 and this value will become 421. If you subtract that, you're going to get 127. So variance of u is equals to 127. That's what the first part we did is. So that's what we did, variance of u we did it. Now how to do covariance of ux and covariance of uy. Covariance of ux and covariance of uy. So covariance of ux, if you know how to do it, similarly you can do covariance of uy. So covariance of ux is what? Is your e of ux minus mu u into mu x. We know the value of u as what? 3x plus 2y. From that the value of a is 3 here and the value of b is 2. We know that. And what is this mu x value? Mu x is 4, mu y is 6. So based on that, substitute those values into it. So mu u you're going to get as 24, which means this much we got it. Mu x also we know, mu u also we know. What is this e of ux? How to find out that e of ux? E of ux equals to what? E of equals to e of u into x. So it will be 3x plus 2y into x. We are multiplying it. It will be 3x square plus 2xy. Okay. So 3x square plus 2xy. What is this e of x square? Sorry. What is this e of x square? So e of x square is what? Variance of x plus mu x square. What is the variance of x? It is sigma x square. Correct. Mu x square is mu x square. And sigma x square is 25. Mu x square is 16. So total it becomes 41. This one is one part we did it. Next is we should do e of xy. How to do e of xy? Which is covariance of xy plus mu x into mu y. So if you substitute that, you're going to get this. Finally that will be equals to 3 times of ex square plus 2 times of exy. You substitute that, you're going to get e uy is 122. Same way, if you do it for y, you're going to get this answer here for this also. For this one also, you can get the answer the same way. If you do that, what is that we got? How much we got here? You're going to get it around 24.5 we're going to get, which means this one 168.5 minus 24 into 6, that is you're going to get 24.5. Please go through that once again. Any doubts, I'll clarify you. This is one of the problem which is coming repeatedly. So try to understand this formulas and this problem, which is on two variable transformations. Problems on two variable transformations. So this kind of problems they're going to give. Just they'll replace this value of this and they'll change the values of this. Then also it's able to do that. Same remaining, all formulas will remain same. Okay. So please go through that and be prepared for that. Right? Any queries? Any questions? Anyone have any queries? If no questions, thank you. We'll meet in the next class.